be back in effect. Check my song out, Beamer. 33 views in 11 days. We're going up quick. We really are. Song's gonna be up before you know it. It's like 40 views before you know it. But it's important not to worry about views. Think about worrying about views. You worry about views too much. That's all you'll be stuck on is your view count. That's why it's important to keep dropping stuff. The more you drop stuff, the more likely it'll go up. You're just feeding off of what you already have, you know? It's as simple as that. Just feed off of what you done built. The more you feed off of what you done built, the better it is for that song, you know? Meaning, like, if one song has a decent amount of views and the next drops just as good, you'll continue to build up your fan base. To a decent amount of people. So that's why it's important. Continue building yourself up. Continue building your legacy up. And such and such. That's what I do, like. That's what I was doing in the past, too. I just kept dropping and dropping. And then the more I dropped, the bigger things got. Simple as that. That's how things work anyway. The more, it's like a job. The more work you put into it, the more money you make. So the more work you put into your music, the better the results. The better music you start making, the better fan base you start making, the better people you start meeting, like, and getting in contact with, that can show you the ropes, you know? Show you how to write lyrics better, show you how to manage money and put your finances into the right places. Because music's a lot of stuff. It's business, it's, you know, financing, it's building up wealth, you know. Music is really a lot of work. It's not just gonna happen overnight. And I know that, like, for a while I thought shit was supposed to happen overnight for me as an artist, but I've realized, like, don't nothing that you're trying to do successfully happen for you overnight. It takes work, persistency, and dedication. That's what you gotta do, you know? Just like for if you're trying to stop a habit, I mean, but then again, if you're enjoying it, and if that's something you're into, do it. But certain habits gotta die eventually because it's only gonna drive you to sadness, such and such. So that's why it's important to kill some old habits. Some habits you have, like I said, It's gonna take a while. You just gotta work through it, you know? The more you work through your old baggage and old habits, the better life will be. That's why you gotta work through it to get through it. Am I making sense? Me, I don't care. I'll still be on CB, you know, because I'm a supporter. I met a few friends off of there, you know. I just gotta find a way to limit it, because I was doing so good for a while of staying off that site. But I've been on this site for a long time. I could be transparent with my KJ anoids. I've been on it for a while. It's like Jeff Hardy, you know, saying he'll stop drinking alcohol, but he goes back. I wouldn't say it's an addiction per se. I wouldn't say I have a sex or porn or chatterbait addiction. I'd just say I tend to I think I forget a lot of the times, and when I watch, I get so deep that I don't click off. Last night, for the first time in a long time, I got excited when I seen a couple like doing their thing when she was getting clapped, and that was like a great feeling, you know. And it keeps me from looking elsewhere. It keeps me from cheating. It keeps me from, and that's not really cheating because my girl don't care that I'm on the site. She doesn't mind it, you know. See, if you're doing it behind your girl's back and she has an issue with it, then I see a problem. But if you're watching it with permission and if you're watching it with no problem, you're good. But if she got an issue with it, that lifestyle during the relationship, you might want to reevaluate what you're doing. And I did tell my mom to stop because after that, I went straight to bed. That was the last. I watched a lot. I ain't gonna lie. I watched a lot. But I had that self control too at the same time because I told myself, lately I would sleep on the floor. So I told myself in the back of my head, go to sleep. I was telling myself audibly, well, not audibly, but in the brain. That's what put me to sleep. I said, you got to get some sleep because I was already yawning and shit, tired and shit, trying to get through this movie and shit. And, you know, and it was good. It's on my channel. Go check it out. You know, very good movie is Night Watch and Stigma with Patricia Arquette. One thing about Patricia Arquette as an actress, and it also has Nia Long in it from Are You There? Are We There Yet? One thing about Patricia Arquette, she's very underrated. That's something I've noticed. Way ahead of her time. She's a very underrated actress. I've only seen a handful of Patricia Arquette's films, and she's so freaking beautiful. So beautiful. She's one of them women you just can't help looking at. And when you watch her on screen, it really shines. She did an amazing job of breaking down when she found out that minor Caroline got killed or whatever. She did an amazing job of conveying empathy and emotions. The tears, just the way she carried it and delivered, it was incredible in that movie. Stigmata too, the religious Catholic film that I've seen and reviewed with her in it as well. She does an amazing job as an actress. I really am a Patricia Arquette fan. I'm now a Patricia Arquette fan. Based off that body of work that I've seen, I'm a Patricia Arquette fan. I gotta see some Patricia Arquette movies. I really do. Whether it's her a little bit younger, and she was kind of in the middle in that movie. She didn't look too young, but she was in the middle in that movie. I gotta check it out though, cause I love Patricia Arquette now. I really love her. When I say I'm a fan of actresses and actors, I mean it. I have a select few of people that I'm into. Johnny Depp, Freaking Kurt Russell, based off his body of work with Sly. Sylvester Stallone, based off his Rocky, Rambo's, such and such films. Uh, Bob Saget, Full House. Uh, Tom Hanks from Polar Express, The Barbads. You name it. I have a select few actors that I'm a fan of, and there's a few more where that came from too. Jean-Claude Van Damme. I've seen him in kickboxing. Like, my grandma used to play kickboxing and stuff. I like him. He has charisma. He has a certain wit about him. Like, I'd say I'm a fan of Jean-Claude Van Damme. But the fight in Rambo First Blood was whack. That shit was awful. All he does is push down Sly, and that's the extent to it. There's nothing dramatic. There's nothing really eye-catching about that fight. It was just he gets pushed, and that's the extent of where it went. I'm like, couldn't they did something a bit better in that movie? And Rambo First Blood was fucking awful. Fucking awful. All the expendable movies, I hate to say this because I'm a huge Sly mark. Every expendable movie was, they're all awful. They're all awful except the first one. The first Expendables movie was incredible, but all the other ones fucking horrible. Awful pile of garbage. You could wrap it up in a ball of paper and throw it into the fire pit. You know, that's how awful they were, because I'm sitting here waiting for some cool explosions, some cool character development, and all we get is a whack fight between Sly and Jean-Claude Van Damme, one of the great actors, along with Sly. I was like, what? Wow, in my head. That's how bad they were. Like, very bad movies that I'd never go back and watch at all. And I've never gone back and watch at all, to tell you the truth. Because they were time wasters. Awful, awful time wasters. I could never go back and waste another minute of my life on those movies, because I'm not a fan. The only movies besides Rambo and all that I'm a fan of, or Nighthawks. Fist was okay. I liked Fist. Party at Kitty and Studs was kind of dull and lame and boring, you know. Although there was a lot of sexual innuendos in it, a lot of sexual stuff happening in it. What else? First Blood was incredible. I like the scene where he uses something to eat his pizza. That was good. I like that. And he was badass in it too. He had that short, slick back, like, biker type of hairstyle, biker attitude. Sly came with it, you know. He was throwing damage in First Blood. Those are some of the other movies that I'm a fan of that I've seen. Driven was awful. It was an awful racing movie that I'd never go back and watch. Just redundant races, just no proper story development, and just an overall dread film movie to watch. Like, very boring, very sleep-inducing. Like, I'm talking that awful of a film. Like, if you watch the movie, you'll probably forget you've seen it the first time. I'm telling you. You probably forget you even watched Driven. That's how bad it was. Another guy I'm a fan of is Richard Pryor. I've seen all of his movies, so I'm caught up on it. My favorite Richard Pryor film, I'm going to give this a long spot. My favorite Richard Pryor film has to be Adios Amigos. I got my sombrero on. One of them. That's one of them. Just him and the Edward dude was incredible. Like, they had great chemistry, and just the scenes and everything was just good. And my favorite with Gene Wilder from the original Willy Wonka. There's a new one coming out, BTW. I seen a trailer for it. I don't think I'll watch it, but I'll probably watch it, depending on my mood. And if from the trailer, if it delivers, because to me, Johnny Depp's version of it cannot be touched compared to that so far. You know, it looks good in theory, but I don't think it'll come close to what Depp did. But Silver Streak. Silver Streak's my favorite Richard Pryor film. I just like their chemistry. I just like the jokes. The jokes just hit different in that film, you know? And it had me laughing and telling jokes the whole time. Like, when they were telling jokes, I was saying the jokes. I was repeating the jokes. So Silver Streak's one of my top favorites. And I've seen it, of course I've seen it. What else? What else? What else? What else? Another You was awful, because, you know, that was the time Richard was doing drugs. He was in a bad state of mind. That movie was fucking infuriatingly awful. I still watched it, and I watched it out of, like, habit or hope, because I was a Richard Pryor fan. Same applies with, if wrestling's bad, this week it was good. Surprisingly, it was a decent show, which is refreshing to see, because when I feel like when wrestling's a good show, it puts me in a better mood. But when wrestling's a horrible show, it puts me in that, like, down mode. Because I feel like I'm the type of person that feeds off of energy. So if a show's good, I'm going to feed off of it. And I'm going to give you 110 of my energy in return. But if it's a bad show, I can't sit there and tell you, I'm not going to lie. It can bring you down because you're sitting out of here in habit and hope, trying to hope and just pray a show's good, but it's not good, so it kind of like brings you down because you want it to be good. But Raw was pretty decent this week. They had SummerSlam built, you know. Cody got attacked by Brock. We got new women's champions. Uh, Zoe Stark and Trish Stratus and Becky did a promo on Miz TV, you know. Miz brought Trish out. She's talking the shit to Becky. Segment ends. Blase, blase. And a lot more happened on the show, you know. They built to the next pay-per-view, which is refreshing. The PLEs are always good, though, so that's not an issue. I don't got no issue with the pay-per-views because they're always good, which is good. But yeah, and tonight we got another wrestling show to watch, and that's AEW. Like, another reason why I watch wrestling is to get, like, my problems and issues out of my mind. It's like, it's an escape. Wrestling is an escape from everything, you know. I've critiqued it for so long and watched it for so long, so it's like, you know, you kind of get used to watching something if you've seen it all your life. And that applies to me. Like, I've seen it all my life, so as I've continued to watch and watch and watch, I got hooked. Whether it was bad or good, I sat through it. Like, anybody does that. I feel like anybody does that. If something's awful, out of hope for something big to happen, they're going to sit there and watch. I could tell you an example. Kiri, the original. Classic. We love it. The whole iconic prom scene where she gets blood dumped on her. That's the one main important takeaway. That's the main scene you need to see in Kiri. When she gets the blood dumped on her in prom when she's dancing out with that guy. That's the important scene. But the remake of Kiri, I couldn't sit through it. I seen bits of it, but I just couldn't sit through it. I tried out of habit and hope that something good was going to happen, but I couldn't sit through it. Because remakes are never as good as the original. Some, very slim and in between, but yeah, that's either here or there. But anyway, KJ Anoids, we about to hop off live. I love you guys. Enjoy your morning. Peace out.